It is true that I can't help but heap praise upon praise for the city of Altdorf, for after all it truly is one of the greatest cities in the world, as I've already said, but is it true it has no flaws at all? Well, I suppose as a good scholar I must attempt to briefly explore the dark parts of our fair city, for there are some. It is true that not everyone is a noble after all, or even a member of the middle classes. The poorer districts of Altdorf do suffer greatly. Many die in poverty or from disease simply because they cannot afford to live better. It is best you avoid these parts of Altdorf if you can, for a fellow of a large purse can certainly meet an unpleasant end in the middle of the night if you're not careful. I advise staying on the main roads and thoroughfares, making sure the city watch can keep a good eye on you. After all, they do patrol all the important parts of Altdorf. And yes, it's true, we do have our robbers and our criminals in this great city as well, especially in the East End, as it is called sometimes, the eastern part of the city. The docks have their own flavour of crime as well. Why, the two largest known gangs in Altdorf, rather amusingly named actually, the Fish Gang and the Hook Gang. But make no mistake, while these organisations may have funny names and paint themselves as simply looking out after the more poor folk of the city, well, some of them are involved in many a foul deed indeed, and certainly are not merely looking out for the little person. And of course there are plenty of rumours of nasty and unpleasant things deep in the catacombs under the city. Those tunnels, often used for burial, are very hard to patrol at the best of times. So perhaps a measure of caution should be used when walking the streets of Altdorf, at night at least. Best stay close to lights and avoid the attention of any, strange folk who come to you in the middle of the night asking to speak with you. After all, you never know who they could be. No, I advise staying on your boats or finding a nice tavern or house to dwell in and braving the streets of Altdorf in the beautiful sun of the day. That's what I would do anyway. But then again, I don't go out much. This is Red Moon Role-Playing. Some very interesting things have occurred to our three heroes since they have arrived in Altdorf. On one hand, they met with some rather bad luck, missing out on a grand expedition where they would have gained some good gold crowns. But then on the other hand, they ran into an old acquaintance, Josef. He offered you, Heinrich, an opportunity you didn't think you could refuse. Paid passage on board his vessel for a little bit of work, and a trip to Bogenhafen, which is a place all three of you do seem keen to go, hoping to follow the trail of this inheritance and a possible 20,000 gold crowns. After a little bit of hard work during the day, and a lovely evening in good company, you've all finally made your way to Captain Josef's boat, the Berabelle, where you're getting ready to settle in for the night and then leave first thing in the morning. However, something has disturbed this plan ever so slightly. Two strange men have approached your boat and begun trying to get the attention of the people on it. Heinrich, you've got out to meet them, keen to make sure there is no funny business, but it's you, Kruger, who begins to notice something as you look at them closely. They are, after all, carrying a torch, so they can make their way through the dark city streets. You recognize them, especially the bold one. These are the men from earlier, the men who were trying to get your attention. As you look over in their direction, Kruger, you'll notice that one of them turns to face you. He frowns, looking rather annoyed, and once again does that weird hand signal where he tries to tug on his left ear, looking at you, expecting you to do something in response. But what do you do, Kruger, as you see this strange sight?
I think I will actually move up towards Heinrich then, having already been spotted. And I will try to speak to them.
What do you say? You go down to join them? Siegfried, what about you? Do you do anything here, or do you just sit and wait for the moment, curious to see what's going to happen?
Well, I'm cautious that a fight might break out, and that is not my forte by any means. So, while I'm not making any effort to hide, I'm certainly not approaching them to chat.
And so you maintain a safe distance. The man, the balding one, looks at you, Heinrich, and continues this spiel. Yes, oh yeah, the old Crooked Inn. Do you know where it is?
No, I'm sorry, I'm not from this part of town. You might want to check on next to the breasts, I think, is where you would find. And I'm just bumbling through it, reciting the 7 words that I've heard.
I put my head in my hands.
The man nods, and then as you approach Kruger, gives you a look, and again does the symbol. This time really exaggerated, like really showing that he's pulling that left ear.
I see what you're doing. I have no idea what you're doing. Are you following me?
Listen here, Lieberung, what's the meaning of this?
What makes you think that I am Caster Lieberung?
The man gives you a really confused look. The other man steps forward. Well, because you are bloody Caster. And then he stops. It's rather strange. He just stops mid-sentence. He then sort of leans to the left, leans to the right, and does a very strange little twirl as he then falls to the ground. What do you do, Heinrich? A man suddenly, in mid-sentence, has stopped speaking and done a very odd little pirouette and now has fallen to the ground.
My instinct goes immediately to someone who's been shot with a dart or poisoned, so I am looking around for external sources of danger. Not the ones, of course, right next to me are danger, but is there danger further away? A second ring of danger?
Roll a perception check.
No, that's 47 under over 40.
You begin looking around, panicked. Your instincts are right, but where could this come from? Is it that building? Is it that building? You notice there are an awful lot of tall buildings around here where anybody could be hiding and shooting people, and as you're noticing this, the other man, looking to his companion, looking to you then, Kruger, with a "What in Sigma's name?" And then he teeters forward as well. This time the source is far more obvious, Kruger. A bolt slowly just pokes out of his head before he convulses and falls to the ground quite dead. What do you do, Kruger? 2 men are now lying dead in front of you. The streets are deadly silent.
I immediately duck to cover to ensure that I don't meet the same fate, and then I try to look around to see where the shots are coming from.
You can roll a perception check, although sadly it will be at a -10. You are tired and drunk.
Unfortunately, that is 5 levels of failure.
You begin looking around, but you practically stumble backwards. You almost fall on the floor of the boat. Luckily you right yourself, but as you look around you can't see anything. The streets are deadly quiet. There's no one here, except you think you see somewhere just a little far off down the right some more torches. They're torches of people marching in unison. A patrol. They haven't noticed what's happening here yet, but you think very soon they are going to notice, and that will then get very awkward very quickly. Almost, it's at this moment that Josef suddenly appears on the deck. He looks over to you, Heinrich. Heinrich, my boy, what's going on? This doesn't look good. Are you okay?
With a terrible sense of urgency, I say, Josef, you trust me not to get you in any trouble, right?
I definitely do, lad.
Then help me with his body, and I'm going to start trying to pull them onto the boat so we can hide them before this patrol gets here.
What? Joseph comes over and looks at you quite concerned. He begins looking at one of the bodies, and then he looks down the road. Boy, we haven't got time to... The patrol's going to be here any second. We should just go. We should just go right now. I don't know who these people are, but I don't want to know, and we should start moving now.
Unfortunately, I do want to know, so Is it possible with a roll to bring one of these people onto the boat as Yosef casts off? Is there time enough to do that?
There would be, yes. One person. You can't get both of them. Again, it's 2 human bodies, and even though both of you can haul one on, by the time you've done that, the patrol, you can already see, are starting to veer down this way. You also realise that the torch the men were holding is still lit, so that's why they are starting to come down this road. They've clearly seen a torch on the ground and thought that looks a bit strange.
And you know what? They're right. When I was observing the situation, could I see which of there was the man who approached me, but would I have noticed the other one doing the signal?
Yes.
Okay, then I will pick him, if I can grab that body. Else, I've seen Kruger do heavy lifting, I'm not even going to bother asking. I will get Yosef to help Kruger back onto the boat.
With the help of Yosef, even though it's very quick, because you only focus on one body, this isn't difficult. You are able to quickly, together, just hoist the man up and quickly get on the boat. You see Yosef let out a quiet whistling sound. It's not that loud, but you hear from below decks. Clearly they can hear it. Grim and Walder quickly run up onto the deck. They look a bit confused, a bit tired, but you hear Yosef give them a quick command, and they are running to unmoor the boat and get the boat moving. They're pretty good at this. Are you going to assist them in getting the boat moving?
Yes, I will get the body up the gangway. I will drop it in front of Siegfrieda and say, I got this for you, and then immediately go on to the moorings and go about the work of casting off the knots and all that.
Kruger, what about you? You're on the ground, you're not hurt, but you're tired, concerned, and now the boat's starting to move.
I will have my bow at the ready and just look to see if there's going to be anyone that will try to stop us from leaving. In that case, I'll be prepared to take action, but I'll be keeping an eye out.
You do so. You quickly lean on the side of the boat to begin looking around, trying to make good usage of your slightly more solid position. Feel free to roll one more perception check, but this time give yourself a +10 to counteract the -10.
This time I get 0, 0, and 0, so that's 100, right?
You stand up. You begin trying your best to look around. You notice that the patrol have seen the torch. They are moving suddenly quite quickly. You can see in the dark that they clearly are members of the Watchmen, the Imperial Guard who would stroll the streets at night, and they begin moving towards the body. Sadly, as you see them look towards you, your instinct is to drop to the ground, because you don't want to be seen, which seems quite silly because you are on a boat and they're definitely going to see the boat leaving, but sadly for you, you faceplant right into the deck. It hurts.
I should have drunk so much.
Luckily for you, the damage is superficial, but for the moment, you kind of just want to lie down on the ground and not be seen, because maybe they're going to see you and you don't want to be seen, right?
I definitely don't want to be seen, and I'm tired. Anyway, so yeah, this'll be fine right here.
The boat begins moving away, the moorings having been removed very swiftly. You know how this works, Heinrich. The boat's moving. The people could start telling you to stop, but if you don't stop, this boat isn't going to stop. And to be fair, as they actually finally arrive, the boat has actually already made some distance. You do hear one person kind of call out, Wait, you! Did you see what's going on here? But the boat is swiftly moving northwards, away from the scene.
Seems wrong to say praise Sigmar for the timing, but I'm sure he'll understand in all of his glorious wisdom.
Siegfrieda, what's going through your mind? Suddenly, a lot of things happened very quickly. First, 2 men were killed, then the boat was moving very swiftly away from guards, and now you've had someone thrown in front of you.
This is why alcohol is only useful for sedating patients and shouldn't be drank by people who may need to perform duties like this. I will pull the body away from the edge of the barge and, well, basically out of risk. I don't know if it's a corpse or if it's an unconscious person. I will examine once we are safely under orders, as it were, and moving ahead. But for the time being, I'm keeping my head low to avoid any other darts that might be flying by, if that is indeed their weapon of choice, and suggesting others do the same. Keep your heads down. There may be people letting loose shots at the boat.
Joseph nods grimly, and everyone does do their best to stay down. Especially Kruger, who you notice, bless him, is kind of just lying down on the floor. It doesn't seem very well. Heinrich, what's going through your mind?
Well, first things first, assess the situation, right? I need to, with Kruger on the ground and people having just been shot with crossbows, I'm going to run over and make sure that our friend/meal ticket here hasn't been gunned down is not the appropriate term, but archered.
You go over to help Kruger. Kruger, Heinrich suddenly appears above you.
Thanks. I was quick thinking there.
Don't thank me quite yet. Are you okay?
I will be. It's been a long day.
Indeed. Look, it's silly to ask, and I don't mean to offend you, but man to man, you have no idea who those people were.
Well, they're saying that they think that I'm Lieberung, which is not strange. I mean, I do look like him, so it's clearly connected with what we found. I wonder why they wanted to get a hold of him here, though. Perhaps they were supposed to guide him to Bogenhafen or something like that? I'm not sure.
Or maybe he was never supposed to leave. Maybe Siegfried can find something. It's, you said he was making signs. Are there tattoos? How do, you people membership in things? Is there anything we can look for?
Every city is different. And unfortunately, I don't know all that much about how Altdorf works. So it could be something that's connected to that city, or perhaps Bogenhafen. Perhaps that's where they came from, and that would make sense. Long story short, I don't know. But it's worrying, and who killed them? That's the question, isn't it? Who would shoot them on an open street like that? It's a huge risk. And for what purpose? Why didn't they fire at us? Why didn't they fire at me?
All good questions. I don't have the faintest place to start, and I suspect here in 10 or 15 seconds I'm going to have come up with a wonderful lie to tell a very close family friend. Do you want to see how Siegfried is doing? And I'll try to convince Joseph that I don't know yet.
You'll figure something out, I'm sure. I'll go see if Siegfried needs anything.
I'll reach down and help Kruger up back to his feet.
And you do so. And just as Kruger goes over to help Siegfried, Joseph comes over to you, Heinrich. All right, lad. I guess we're leaving a little sooner than I was expecting. Don't worry. We won't have any torches lit. They won't be able to see us. As soon as we get past to the Reichsport, we should be fine. Just one more boat in the night. But, is there something you want to tell me? Two strange fellows suddenly want to talk to you, and then they're dead. That's a little strange, Heinrich.
Strange for both of us, old friend. As best I can tell, it's a case of mistaken identity. I think my friend Kruger looks like someone who owed them money or had caused trouble, and they were intent on solving that problem for themselves. There was a crossbowman, someone in the roof or in the rafters, I don't know.
You don't say. That does sound reasonable. Poor your friend, that was a close one. Again, it's not that I wanted to avoid the guards for any reason, you understand, but you understand that they'd be asking questions, they'd be holding the boat up, we might not be able to leave in the morning, and lad, I need to get this cargo sold. I can't be late.
No, of course. And the risks you've taken already, if you would allow me, just as a show of good faith and your ability to keep secrets, what do you say? 1 silver a day for the trip. Just for the, you know what? 1 silver a day for the quarters that our new guest will be keeping. I will gesture towards the corpse.
Would you like to roll an intuition check?
That's a 4, so that is 3 success levels.
He's actually a little hurt that you would even think he wasn't going to fully trust you. He kind of hides it very quickly. Lad, what are you talking about? Why you being daft? Gonna pay you a fair wage. You're one of us. I don't know what's going on, lad, but come now. Why would you ask me something like that?
Oh, it's it's actually got the circumstance. It's got nothing to do with that. I just know you've done a lot for me and my family in the past, and I never had the chance to make it up. And the work is fine, but you've gone well out of your way. I was maybe thinking I could sneak one past you, and you'd finally let me repay that debt.
I understand, me boy. It is a little unusual, isn't it? No. Think nothing of it. You're one of us. We're boatmen. We'll help you out here. I don't need any extra incentive to help you out. I mean, it's almost a bit exciting, isn't it, running away from the Imperial Guard in the middle of the night?
That's what they used to say. You're not a real captain until you've escaped the guards once,
Exactly. No, don't you worry, lad. We'll keep the lights down low. We'll head to the Wisebrook tonight. Shouldn't be too bad once we get to the canal bridge. For the mo, just, go talk to your friends and, maybe when you're ready, I don't really want to be carrying a body around, if you get my meaning. There should be a place we can find to just dump off our friend.
Oh, of course, as soon as we learn what we can.
He nods and gives you a firm handshake. You notice the other two people, Grim and Walder, all just give you a nod. An unspoken nod. These are people you can trust. They're going to help you.
That's actually the second tier on the captaincy test. First one, escape the guards. Second, dump a body in the canals.
Siegfrieda, you have a dead man before you. You also notice Kruger come to join you. Again, the boat is beginning to rapidly make its way out of Altdorf. It seems to be heading into the Great Canal to the north, which is known as the Reichsport. That's where all the Imperial ships dwell. It is the largest bit of water to the north. And then from there, many, many rivers leading off to the Reich, of course, and you think maybe even the Wisebrook.
I will have a quick look over this body. Is it quite clear that they died from crossbow bolt?
Well, it's rather difficult to tell. You have apparently been told to have no light, so you're pretty much having to rely on moonlight, and again, hard to tell. But as you do turn him over, you are a doctor, you're pretty sure a crossbow bolt in the neck like that is, yes, very fatal.
Yes, I don't think this is any kind of revolution in terms of scientific or medical discovery, so I'll let him fall back on his back. What I'm interested in is, does this body bear any interesting tattoos, rings, sigils, identification papers, anything that might tell us who this individual was? I'll light a candle and hold it close.
You find a purse, quick inspection, 2 silvers.
Okay, I'll keep them.
A dagger, but nothing on the dagger seems special, it just seems like any standard sellsword's dagger. Still, could be worth a few coin, it's always nice to have a dagger on you. He's wearing, again, not a bad travelling cloak. Currently a little bit blood-splattered, but other than that, not terrible. You do notice he does seem to have gloves on. Purple gloves. Interesting.
Yeah, very. Quite exotic. Purple tends to indicate royalty. I will remove the gloves.
You remove the purple gloves and don't find anything interesting underneath other than standard human hands, slightly dirty fingernails. But as you investigate the chest area, you do part the cloak a little, just give his naked chest a bit of an inspection, and there is something there. There's a marking. It resembles a purple palm. A purple hand, you could say. It seems it has been imprinted, you don't know how, onto this man's chest. And again, it's hidden in such a place where you're only seeing it when you really give a good look on its torso.
Okay. Can I make a Reichland law roll? See if this is a sigil I recognize.
You certainly may.
If I have made it over there, I actually also happen to have lore at Reichland.
You can assist. Give him a 10.
Wow, I succeeded on a 55 out of 61.
A close success. You don't recognize the symbol, but that in itself tells you a few things. This isn't the sign of a noble family. Definitely not. You've never seen something like this. It's a bit too basic, to be honest with you. It is not the sign of any religion, official religion anyway, and it could be a criminal gang sign, but then there's so many of those. But you definitely do not recognize it as anything official in any way. It's too simplistic.
I will do up the cadaver's corpse, lay him in some dignity before walking over to Joseph. Excuse me, Captain.
Aye, madam. So sorry about the sudden departure. Don't you worry, we'll be on the main...
Well, I did say that I prefer to travel intoxicated, although I didn't anticipate under a rain of fire. My question is, as you know this place far better than we, do you know anything about a Purple Hand Gang?
Purple Hand Gang?
Yes, like, might wear gloves like these, I'll hold them up, or bear tattoos of a purple palm.
He looks over the gloves and he goes over to look at the body. He looks completely mystified. He looks towards you, Kruger. No, I don't recognize anything like this, but maybe it is a gang. Aye, maybe an Altdorf gang. Makes sense to me. Maybe, like your friend was saying, he's told me everything. I understand, Mr. Kruger. Poor you, mistaken identity. It can happen in Altdorf. There are some nasty folks around there, but it looks like if we just get out of Altdorf, well, hopefully this can all be left behind us, eh?
I certainly hope so. This turned violent very, very quickly. And yes, I have been assisting Siegfried, of course, with looking at this purple hand. And I suppose the input that I can contribute with is the fact that, yes, it is not any official sign that I am aware of, but that it does bear some resemblance to perhaps some of the criminal networks from Nuln, for example. Does it seem like it would be in that direction based on what I know?
Could be a gang symbol, but this is now pure conjecture. One thing you will know is that the positioning of it's something that people aren't meant to see. So clearly it's not something you show people proudly, although then the purple gloves, is that maybe a more open way of showing? You try and remember if the other guy had any purple on him. You think he might have actually had a purple scarf. You think?
Colors. Typical for gangs. It could be something like that.
Well, like I mentioned, purple is often a regal colour. The dye is quite expensive, from what I understand. But we don't need to be carrying a corpse around with us at this point. Kruger, we may need to reconsider this identity that you're adopting, as much as I hate to throw away the possibility of vast sums of wealth. If this is a wanted man, and you admitting to being him could be problematic if people do believe you, let alone if they don't. I'm just going to cut off that tattoo, so I'll keep to myself. You probably won't want to see this, and then we can just dump the body in the river. It's the cleanest place to leave a corpse.
Yeah.
I would like you, Siegfried, to make a dexterity roll. Give yourself a +20 to reflect that you are a trained doctor, but it's still a little challenging to perfectly cut off a nice bit of skin.
That's another good roll then. So I got a 31 against my 52.
Oh, a nice, perfect success there. You begin working at the body, and you know what you're doing. It's a little messy, and there is a lot of blood.
I hum to myself a little, follow the ribs, up to the sternum underneath, cut around. I think a heart shape would probably be the best way of prying this off the muscle. That's it. And by Cleo's good grace, I hold it up quite proudly in the direction of Kruger. This heart-shaped flap of skin bearing a tattoo.
It's a perfect cut.
I nod approvingly. It is a bit gruesome, but I do respect craftsmanship.
Joseph gives a bit of a grim nod, and as soon as you're done, motions towards Grim. Grim comes over again. He doesn't speak much, Grim, but he gives you all a knowing look, and together they, unless anyone objects, toss the body over.
Joseph, if you have a jar of vinegar or something else of similar potency, I would be beholden to you. You never know when something like this might be needed. I smile at him, gesturing at the palm shape as means of investigation, or you never know when a lawman may say, we're looking for evidence that these bandits have been brought down. That kind of thing. So preserving it is quite essential. So do you have any vinegar, or anything else I might pickle it in?
He gives you a nod and quickly goes down to get you something that looks like a pickle jar. He quickly throws out the pickle inside the pickle jar, but hands you the rest with the brine and says, "Aye, a little grim there, madam. Are you some sort of a doctor, then? He didn't say."
I'm a physician's apprentice, but I am working toward becoming a physician in my own right.
I see. Well, hopefully you can work out what's going on here. Truly a weird night. Don't let it be said on my boat, the Berrybell, that we don't offer hospitality as well as excitement.
Retaining samples like this is the cornerstone of becoming a physician. If I had had my druthers, I would have kept the man's neck, at least, so that I could have a cross-section of how a bolt might enter a throat, the damage it can do, and so forth, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. I'm quite happy with just this prize.
Aye, lass. Aye, well, don't you worry. We'll be heading off now. Come, let's start heading off. Come on to the Wisebrook. He begins leading the other sailors to begin directing the boat out. You can see Altdorf swiftly being left behind. Again, the city does have many, many lights, so you can see the city at least a little in the gloom. The moon is high in the air, and as of course you begin heading out to the largest part of the river, you can see dozens and dozens of lights coming from the Imperial warships, all currently docked in the harbour. You will see Joseph come up to you, Heinrich, and chuckle a little as he points. Hey, you see that large one over there? The large one?
Oh, they're all pretty large. You mean the largest one?
Yes. Guess how many crew that can take? 1,000!
1,000 men. Can you imagine?
Utter nonsense, boy. And guess how many times it's been out of port?
Oh, something that large is too pretty to risk.
Ha! Exactly. He's right. Never. Been 70 years, they say it's been in dock. I tell you all you need is a ship like the Berrybell. That's all you need, unless, of course, I suppose you're going up to the fucking far oceans or something like that.
No reason to do that. Give me a barge over a floating codpiece any day of the week.
And so the boat begins winding down to a smaller, much smaller side river. And in a few hours, you are far away from Altdorf, far away from the great River Reich, and heading down the much smaller Wisebrook Canal. How are you feeling, Kruger?
I am starting to feel quite worried. I mean, what I was about to do is something that I knew was going to be very, very dangerous. But I figured it would just be a matter of pretending to be Caster, Lieberung, and that would be it, really. And if I was found out, of course, that would be bad, but I wouldn't be found out. It would be fine. But now it seems like there's more things going on, that there's actually people looking for Lieberung, looking for me, and being able to locate me, which is quite worrying. Altdorf is a very, very large city, but somehow they could find me in the throng of all the people there. Which means that, well, I might be able to make my way to Bogenhafen now, but then what? Are they going to find me again? Maybe. And even if I wanted to stop now, could I? Wouldn't they just track me down again? I feel like I've started down a path that I won't be able to leave. Not alive, anyways. So perhaps the best thing to do, I think to myself, perhaps the best thing to do, just to go all in. Just do this now, take all the risks that it entails, and perhaps at the end of this road awaits the 20,000 gold crowns, the manor, and the title. Perhaps that's what awaits. This is my destiny, after all. I know that. Now I just need to keep my wits about me and make this happen.
These thoughts are comforting, and to be fair, the air suddenly smells a lot better. You all feel a lot calmer, actually, now you've left Altdorf far behind. That oppressive feeling seems to have gone, but again, maybe it was all just in your minds. After all, it's not as if there literally was a miasma following you around, right?
Yeah, there's at least fewer nobles here. Perhaps Joseph was right.
And so, under the dead of night, your little boat, the Berrybell, begins making its way down the Wisebrak Canal, a much smaller, much less exciting river compared to the full River Reich itself. The journey will be long, but hopefully, with just a stop or two on the way, you will soon arrive in Bogenhafen, and hopefully, it will all be worth the trouble that you seem to have found. That is, of course, if the trouble is easy to get rid of, because as you will think to yourself as you rest, Kruger, if it isn't just a street gang, it's something bigger than that. What is stopping them just hounding you down? You're not sure. As for you, Siegfrieda, perhaps you are starting to wonder what exactly is in this for you. After all, at the end of the day, you are merely trying to get enough coin to get your doctor's license so you can begin your hopefully successful career as a physician. While this little scheme would certainly pay for that, is it worth the trouble? After all, if things go wrong, you could end up in a very, very bad place. And at the end of the day, you're not really sure you're the best when it comes to criminal activity. But then again, you've surprised yourself before, and you may do so again. For you, Heinrich, perhaps this isn't such a bad journey after all. Perhaps this is the excitement you've been looking for. Strange figures in the night, a daring venture. Maybe this is what you've been looking for, and this will be a great way to prove yourself. For you are going to have to prove yourself. No one merely wants to hire a fancy fighter purely by looks alone. You need to have some reputation and some deeds behind you before you could even dare think of approaching the nobility. But for now, you will all get your rest as the boat continues on in the night.
You have listened to an episode of Red Moon Roleplaying, where we play the legendary campaign The Enemy Within for Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay 4th Edition, published by Cubicle 7. In this first part of the series, we are tackling Book 1, Enemy in Shadows. Joining us as players in this series are none other than Aaron Hammonds from Queen's Court Games and our dear friend Matthew Dawkins. The music was made by Flowers for Body Snatchers, Word Clock, Metatron Omega, Aegersonus, Apocryphus, Halgrath, and Northumbria, featuring a number of collaborations with other artists, and was used with permission from their label Cryochamber. Check out their website at cryochamber.bandcamp.com or their YouTube channel for some moody dark ambient for your gaming table. We would like to give massive thanks to our champions of the Red Moon: Martin Heuschober, Nastasia Raulerson, Simon Cooper, David, Julia, Camilla, Ludwig Manford, Bob Lange, Julián, Cameron, Xabier, and Antxon for their generous support. And we'd of course also like to thank all of our other patrons. Without your support, the show would not be possible. If you want to support our work, please check us out on Patreon. You can get access to bonus campaigns for Cult of Divinity Lost and Coriolis there, as well as get early and raw access to all of our recordings. You can also hear your name read on the show as a champion of the Red Moon, as well as play Cult with us. Most importantly, that support is what keeps the show going, so do check us out there. Thank you again for listening, and remember, Skaven are definitely not real.